right, guys. Second podcast, A&G presents The Blueprint. We still have Justin with us again for our second episode, and also Miss Lindsey Holmes.
What's up, guys?
The owner and CEO, is that your title, of Social Butterfly?
Yeah, so my title is officially CEO.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
They let you choose your title when you fill out your LLC, guys.
I get to
you
pick
can
my
label
title.
yourself. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, that was actually something I agonized over. Like, what do I want to be? And CEO is just, it
Sounds
spoke
good.
to me.
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
spoke
it
to
has
me.
a ring to it.
Chief Executive Officer,
Yeah, making executive decisions.
which I suck
yeah.
at.
Do you?
I'm the most indecisive person ever, and that's like one of my big struggles, like making a decision and then not deviating, but I'm learning.
Right. And in your personal industry, that's decision after decision after decision. You're constantly having to think of content, ideas for your clients. For those that don't know, she runs Social Butterfly, which is a SMMA, a social media marketing agency, basically.
Yeah. So I have what I like to call a boutique style marketing agency. I focus mainly in SMMA. And yeah.
So SMMA, it's definitely a newer industry as social media has been maturing over the years. And it's kind of cool for younger people, definitely if you're in the age from, 15. I've heard CEOs running agencies as young as 15 up.
Damn, I'm
They
late.
started out doing their family's business, and then the family's friends was like, hey, help us out too.
Exactly. And then, older uncle is like, hey, I need help running my social media for my business. You step in, next thing you know, word of mouth goes.
Yeah.
You got 5 clients hitting you up, and boom, you got an agency.
That's really similar to how I started. So funny enough, when my mom is like the least tech savvy person ever, she is the queen of calling me, and I just posted something on my Facebook. I need you to remove it right now.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, what did you post? That's not important. I posted something on my Facebook, take it down. So at 7:30 in the morning at a breakfast event, I'm having to hack my mother's Facebook account to remove something that she thought was a message that actually was a post. So the older...
no.
Yeah.
The accidental post message.
Yeah, that's a thing. So the boomer generation, is amazing for us younger people because so many of them, they like to Facebook, they like to scroll. But as far as like what SEO means, how to create content, how to create engaging content, that's something they really struggle with. And I do coaching for some customers, and one of the first things we go over, especially with the boomers, is how to delete things. I'm like, take notes on this part because inevitably you're going to put something up that you're not going to be super proud of. So let's figure out how to take it down.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. You mentioned SEO. For those that might not know what SEO is, can you explain what that is?
Search engine optimization. So in layman's terms, it's how to be in page 1 of Google, because everyone knows that the best place to hide a body is page 2 of Google. So if you're not in page 1 and you're not trending pretty high, that's an issue. So search engine optimization, there are some tricks of the trade to really get you, if not in the number 1 category, at least to top 1, 2, 3 without having to necessarily pay to be the quote unquote sponsored. Because I don't know about you guys, but normally if I Google something, I scroll past the people that pay.
Yeah, definitely.
And the first organic one is typically the first one I'm looking at.
Advertising is almost getting into the field of annoying.
Yeah.
In a way. So a lot of agencies are trying to think of ways around that annoying structure, more creative ads. I know Justin, for instance, in his industry, real estate, definitely when you started out with actually working for a real estate company, that SEO is something that they had to do for sure to get their listings up.
And whenever I first got in, Facebook ads really started becoming popular. Nobody knew how to do them. I was one of the youngest people on the island running Facebook lead ads.
So they actually had you running the ads.
I had my own marketing company for a while. It's just so much work, and I got nothing but respect for you guys. But when you're a real estate agent, you are the social media person, you're the accounting person, you're the salesperson, you're the HR person.
All the hats.
You wear all the hats.
Until you get to the point where you can start hiring people to wear those hats.
Exactly.
But if it wasn't for social media, I would have not been successful. If it wasn't for running lead ads, running text message ads, I wouldn't have had a business pretty much. Because that was my only angle of attack compared to all these people that were in the business for 20 years, was I just had to bombard people with my real estate ads to the point to where it got almost annoying. Back then,
2000.
This is like 2015, 16, 17.
Okay, so people weren't.
You weren't getting bombarded like you are now. Like I learned about cookies and how to like follow people around on Facebook before it got really, really popular. So that was like me before you had 3,000 other companies doing the exact same thing. Because you'd be surprised how many times you see an Amazon ad, a Walmart ad, a Target ad, a local business ad within the course of like 5 minutes. It's become hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah. It's a fight to get your ads seen.
Absolutely.
Creativity in them.
That's why getting that like creativity, the custom content is so important, because you really got to figure out a way to make your content stand out amongst all of your competition. But I met Justin in the middle of his like absolute hustle phase when he was sleeping like 4 hours a day and working 18. It was one of the reasons we became such good friends. I think we were both in a very similar place where we were just like, no time for anything else. Let's really just bust it and make as much progress as we can as fast as possible.
We're both in grind mode.
I think that's where I am right now.
You got to do it. First couple of years just suck.
I'm not 30. I'm 29.
Watch it.
Yeah. And I really just now kind of, we mentioned it in the last podcast, but I've owned multiple businesses. Obviously some of them are going to fail. And I never gave it 110. I was always kind of still in that lower friend group that kind of, drags you down. Everybody wants to, and not anything against anybody that, likes to partake in like marijuana or anything like that. But, certain people just can't handle it. I'm one of them people. If I do, go to the club, like we were talking about earlier, hey, I'm having a water in between every one of the drinks.
You gotta party responsibly.
You got to be celebrating. And if you're at this point in your life, you don't have much to celebrate yet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're still in grind and hustle mode. So like I said in my last podcast, I went 3 years sober until I had a drop of alcohol. I said, I'm not touching a drop of alcohol until I have $100,000 in the bank. And I did that at 18. So I recommend everybody else does that. $100,000 might be a lot. For you, it might be 50, it might be 75. Just put a number on it, set a goal, and just say, hey, it might not even be alcohol. It could be, smoking, Netflix, something that you enjoy, but it might be holding you back from,
Well, I know
progress.
On our first sit down meeting, we were talking about the concept of burning your boat. And that's something that I'm a firm advocate in. If you are wanting to start something, you eliminate every other alternative that you have outside of succeeding, because when you have the fallback plans, when you have the other options, you're going to be that much less motivated to really give it your all and to put in the time and the effort that it takes and to really put in the sacrifices it takes. You've got to sacrifice. You've got to give up a lot. If you want to be an entrepreneur. I think everyone looks at it with these rose-colored lenses, like this is just going to be super fun, but you've got to sacrifice dating. You've got to sacrifice so much, and time is such a valuable commodity, especially for the young entrepreneur. So really figuring out who is going to be the best bang for your buck, essentially, with your time investment. Everything is an investment. You shouldn't be investing the most important commodity you have in the wrong places and people.
That's facts, no cap. Hey, no, but I like to kind of match entrepreneurship and certain sports together, because talking about sacrifice and the grind, the getting up at 4:30 in the gym, eating correctly, eating whole foods, tackling the daily topics that you have to get done, especially for the business, for it to be able to grow. It's a huge sacrifice. And for those that are like us, that are kind of like, like what some people call like purebred entrepreneurs, people that basically eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, that grind mentality, it never fully stops. And, I went to Nashville was it last weekend or the weekend before? Either way, we grew up around Julio Jones. A lot of people don't know who that is. Julio is the wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans now. He grew up in our area. We went to school with him, and, we saw firsthand what it takes to put your head down, focus on your goals, and do what's right for you and your family, and pursue that day in, day out, make the sacrifices, cut out the loose ends, burn the boats.
Burn the
boats. He became one of the most sought after football players. Yes. Like, everyone was scouting him. Everybody was fighting over him.
Yeah. ESPN was following this guy down the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. And being able to see that firsthand, it gives people, definitely like me, somebody who didn't have the best guidance as a child, seeing that was like, okay, that's what it takes. That right there, that focus, determination to do this. And then eventually, the success comes, the money comes, and you're now living in the reality that you created for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so you created Social Butterfly, the SMMA. What age were you when all this really started, and what situation were you in? What
was the rock bottom turning point?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We like to discuss rock bottom.
Let's talk about when I hit rock bottom. Yeah. I love
What was the moment? Usually it's something happens in your life that knocks you into it.
I wouldn't say the starting of Social Butterfly was me hitting rock bottom. It was very much so the opposite for me. So I started Social Butterfly in April of last year. So right pretty much in the middle of COVID shutdown, I was working for a corporate company. I didn't hate my life. I didn't hate my job. I was content where I was, but COVID happened and I was laid off. And before that, I was dating someone who was in the military, and I was trying to plan my life with this person. We had a vision of a future together, and my thought with that is, if I'm really giving it my all with this person, and I'm very much so when I'm in 110% in everything that I do, I was planning for our future. So he being in the military, gonna have to move every 2 or 3 years, me trying to climb the corporate ladder while I'm having to relocate every few years is just not ideal. So in my head it was, okay, well eventually, well one day, well someday in the future, I would love to start my own marketing agency. And when COVID happened and I got laid off, someday became today, and literally sank my life savings into, what it took me to start the company. But I wouldn't say I started my business from an area of rock bottom. I would say I really started it at a place where I felt like I was the happiest I'd ever been. I had a lot of support, a lot of people that believed in me, a lot of people that helped me, and your circle and your tribe that you surround yourself with is essential. And I was very fortunate that at that time, I had a lot of really great people.
Sounds like you definitely took the reins of your life and steered it in the correct direction. What you're explaining about climbing the corporate ladder, I'm sure that was causing, built stress on top of, but you seem like the type of person to manage that fairly well.
I manage stress pretty well. I'm pretty easygoing for the most part. There are some things that I struggle with, but stress is not one of those. I feel like I flourish under a high tension environment.
That's how you make a diamond.
Diamonds.
Absolutely. So yeah, the stress of things really don't bother me. Complacency, I think is a killer for me. When I get to a place where I'm comfortable, that's where I feel like I really struggle. I feel like there are some people that when everything's going right in my life is when I am at the least ease. When everything is just going perfectly, I'm one of those people that like, oh man, it can't be going this well for that long.
Red flag. Life's awesome. Red
Yeah.
flag.
And December of last year was when that wrench really got kicked in, and everything that I thought I was building kind of came crashing down, and the relationship that I was building my company around ended in a pretty awful way. I got COVID at the same time. So my mental health wasn't great. My physical health wasn't great, but really having my business and having those obligations to customers, and the appreciation of my customers, having people when I felt like death messaging me going, oh my gosh, I got sales today. We're seeing so much traffic to our page. We're getting more calls. We're getting more likes. We're getting more views. That really pulled me through like one of the darker times that I've been in.
That's I don't want to say rough, because it's definitely, you handled it.
Yeah.
You know, it was an experience.
Yeah.
I guess would be a better
I
word.
love experiences, even bad ones, because you learn so much.
Right.
So as awful as that was, I'm very grateful to have come through that, because the lessons that I learned, and really feeling in my heart that this is my path, I think is helpful.
So you started a networking group outside of your SMMA.
Let's break that one down. Let's
is my love.
This was the turning part in both of our lives.
So we've mentioned circle and tribe and how important that is for your success, and not just your success, but like for you being able to thrive as a person. So Justin and I, about January to February.
Last year, yeah.
No, because it was it was like January,
it was
February
right
of
after
last
the
year.
hurricane. It was like 2021.
Sally?
Yeah, right after Sally, that January.
Well, we had talks. So at that point in time, we were both kind of in some friend groups that weren't so amazing. And I think it was about January or February of last year, we were just like, we need to build a masterminding group. Like, we need to build just a rock solid circle. We need to cut out so many of these people that are holding us back. And I know you touched on that a little bit. If you're the most successful person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle.
Yeah.
So we were both in a place where our goal was to surround ourselves with people that were way more successful than us.
And trying to be, not even just like they are more successful, but they're moving in that direction.
Goals.
Goal oriented. And around this time, we used to be in the Chamber of Commerce together. We went to every event. It was pretty much like me and you were like the youngest people in the room at all times.
We were on the board for the Lower Alabama Young Professionals. We were just in as many different pockets as we could possibly get in. But again, time is your most valuable commodity. And we were both kind of like, man, we're investing our time in so many of these things and we're just not really getting out of it what we want. So we decided to build our own group, which we started as the Gold Diggers, which Justin wasn't a fan of, but I love a good hook. And that was just so funny to me. But I think we settled on the Goal Getters instead. And our whole goal with that group is just to build the masterminding
Think and Grow Rich emphasizes on masterminds, and Napoleon Hill says it multiple times in the book. Surround yourself with people that you can talk to about ideas rather than other people.
Yeah, if your friends aren't talking about investing, if they're not talking about personal growth, if they're not talking about improvement, if they're not talking about goals, if they're not talking about accomplishments and achievements outside of who they're doing or just minor stuff that they're doing. If your friend's big accomplishments are small game and you've got big goals, you need to get bigger friends.
Definitely. I think was this my third week meeting with you guys?
Yeah.
I've solved like 3 problems just by hearing a few things that people have said.
It's
so
contagious.
It's definitely been very helpful. Hopefully I can shed a little bit of help myself.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that many friends I could call and be like, hey, let's go to lunch and let's talk business, but like in a kind of like a casual way, not like we're doing a deal right now. I would always call her and be like, I need somebody to talk to.
Other than today, we got tacos. She didn't go.
I called her and I was like, I just need to talk to somebody about business and just life in general.
Because sometimes you got to get your words out.
Yeah, sure. I could be like, hey, look, I've got this deal that I'm working out right now. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish it. Let me get your 2 cents or something like that. And I can't have that conversation with like majority of my other friends. And then me and her were sitting down like, we don't have any other friends we can do this with.
Nope.
And we said, who do we know? Who do we possibly know? Who could we get in contact with? And I mean, at one point we had about like 8 people we were meeting with every week. Now we've got it down to like a group of like 6 solid people. And we're all kind of moving at a similar pace now. I mean, ever since we started meeting once a week, each of us has at least doubled, tripled, or quadrupled our businesses.
It's amazing. So one of the big things with our group, and I don't mind sharing this, if anyone is wanting to start something similar and you don't live around here, by all means, please message me. I am the podcast and audiobook queen, especially in regards to setting goals and achieving goals. And so the most important factors with setting a goal are having a trackable goal. So if your goal is to lose weight, don't just say my goal is to lose weight. I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to lose to a certain body fat percentage. It needs to be a trackable number. Having achievable goals. So if you want to lose 20 pounds, don't try to do that in a month if that's not an achievable number for you. You need something that's sustainable. Otherwise, when you're 2 weeks in and you've only lost 2 pounds of your 20-pound goal, you're going to quit. You're going to give up. Most people are going to get very just disheartened. And then the most critical one is getting accountability buddies. And that's really what we have with our group. So we meet, we set our goals, they're trackable. We do both business and personal because those 2 things interchange constantly. If you don't have a good personal life, your business life is going to suffer and vice versa.
That is super true.
Health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Absolutely.
That is why you see all these entrepreneurs of any kind, they're always paired with some type of accountability buddy. Either that or they have gym trainers, people that train them.
Yeah.
And they've surrounded themselves with all types of value. And it's not a selfish thing. It's more of a freeing
Absolutely.
thing,
Well, and when you have those people that if you're meeting with them every week, they're going to ask you about those goals. For a lot of people, that will give you that little push that you need to say, okay, so I'm super tired. It's 4:30 in the morning. I know my goal was to wake up at 4:30 and work out at 5 a.m. 5 days a week, but I'm tired. But if you know that you're going to have to go to your meeting with your accountability buddies, and they're going to give you grief, you're going to be that much more inclined to say, yeah, no, I don't want to have to explain to everyone that I slept in.
Man, that's like sounds like some David Goggins.
Yep.
He's always like, we're going to wake up, we're running 15 miles a day. Oh, man, there might be a storm coming in.
You run in the rain 15 miles.
He's like, well, I'm going to run 15 a day. I'll catch you tomorrow. He calls it taking souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate. So if you're wanting to build a good business, you have to take care of yourself, and your health and personal well-being really has to come first. That was one of my goals I set a few weeks ago, was I was going to start waking up and working out at 5 a.m. because all of my idols and the people that I'm really trying to build my life after, they wake up at 5 a.m. and get their workout in, because otherwise, especially when you own a business, Distractions are going to come in. You're going to have fires you have to put out, and your personal health should not take a back seat.
Yes. Like, who is that? The Rock?
Yeah.
Dude, he is, what is he, up at like 4?
He has 5-minute increments in his schedules.
Yeah. That's something.
He is my
He's
idol.
booked out 3 years on his schedule.
The Rock, Kevin
Every
Hart,
minute of his day is
all these guys.
booked. And he's so efficient.
Yeah. And, you know, he's fully, that's a good word for that. He's mentally clarity.
Yes.
You know, there's all this stuff over the years of him being, you know, physically fit and all this. It all plays its part in like a building block
Getting
method.
organized.
Yeah, exactly. Very organized. That's one thing I need to work on. I need to get organized.
Dude,
it's
your
to the point
Google
like,
Calendar, your iPhone calendar is one of the best tools you can have.
Yeah, that time tree.
I am such an old soul when it comes to the organizing myself, because I bullet journal. So I meticulously organize my day, but I love the concept of having that on paper. For me, it's just, I mean, obviously I live in a technical age. I do social media. Everything that I do work-wise is on an electronic device. So I love having the ability to power down the electronic devices and
like a
just
balance.
Yeah, really go with like paper. I love reading hardback books for that same reason. Yeah, I could read on my Kindle, but I really just like turning off the electronics and giving the brain a chance to breathe.
I guess I could say I'm similar to that, because a lot of my stuff, like definitely my mileage log for my event business that I travel a lot for, all my miles are logged in a book. And everybody's telling me, like, get the app. I do everything else on the app.
I would absolutely get an app for that.
Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. I do my calendar, my to-do list, and all of that, and all my content on my phone.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just kind of old school in that manner.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I do. But, you know, the accountant I had at the time, they're like, oh, that'll be fine, but I would recommend the app.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to have their own method, and I think finding a process that's true to who you are is important, because if it's not something that really vibes well with you, it's not something you're going to keep up with.
Yeah. I guess we'll move on to another question.
Let me touch back on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we've been doing our group for a year.
Over
a year and a half now. It's flown by.
Yeah, January, February will be 2 years.
Let's give somebody a breakdown on how to copy what we did. Let's say, I think that was one of the most valuable things that we did in our lives. I think that was like a turning point.
Oh, absolutely.
In me, you, and every other person in the group's lives. Like, as soon as that, like, everybody was kind of on a downhill spiral due to hurricane, COVID,
personal crisis.
Every single one of us was dealing with something.
If you don't know, guys, we live on the Gulf Coast. This place was
wrecked,
smashed by hurricane.
Yeah.
Even this apartment we're in right now, everybody had to move out.
Wrecked. So all of us were kind of in a dark spot in life where businesses were failing, relationships were failing, personal life was failing. We're in the middle of a
global pandemic.
COVID was
How
making
long did you guys
everything
go without electricity? Like a good month.
2.5 weeks.
3 weeks. But
cash? Did you have cash?
Yeah, I mean, no.
I didn't either. I got caught without cash. I'm having to like call my cousin just to buy like small loaves of bread.
I didn't need cash.
Crypto was king.
No, because the grocery stores were up. They had.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where I was at, nothing was working.
Oh.
It was cash only.
No, Publix is way too bougie for that.
Yeah.
So
I was on the reservation.
Dark spot in all of our lives.
Subtle plug to Publix. I love you. Sponsor me.
Go Publix.
We all came together. We knew exactly who to call it first, and after a few weeks, when we made it consistent, every one of us noticed a change in all of our mindsets.
Well, absolutely.
There's a feeling of loneliness when you try to go down this path of being an entrepreneur. Big time. And you're going to have friends, but it's going to be lonely. You're going to be the only person in the room who's going to be talking business, thinking about how to get ahead. It's a weird, I can't describe it. It's almost like it's a weird loneliness. We fix that by surrounding ourselves with other people that have that same exact feeling,
Well, not
and didn't
just
have anybody
that,
to talk to, and then bounce
but
all
other
ideas
people
off
that
of.
are having the same problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So these are people that, you know, their issues aren't so much I got broken up with. Their issues weren't so much I hate my job. You know, normal people our age issues. It was more so, okay, so I started this business and I'm having a trouble with finding an accountant. I started this business and I'm having a hard time picking up new clients. I'm having a hard time closing sales. My conversion rate isn't great. So finding people that have issues that are relatable to you. And I mean, we would have days where our meetings would go on for 2 or 3 hours and it would just be us problem solving with one another. Well, hey, did you think about this? Well, I did this and it worked really well for me. Maybe give that a go. So having people that are going through the muck with you that maybe or have already been through the place where you are right now and can say, hey, this is something that I did and it worked really well for me, or have you thought about trying this, was so essential for all of us.
It really was. And here we are a year and a half later. I can
And
confidently say my entire business has doubled. Coastal Cryo has at least tripled or quadrupled.
Oh, they're like killing it.
They're doing the best out of all of us.
Yeah.
And your business went straight vertical. That was right when you launched your business too. So it was the perfect time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we had Magnolia Float Spa for a while. I mean, we had a group of people that were all around 30 and under. We were all just moving forward together.
Well, in our outing, so the other thing that we wanted were friends who weren't trying to just go to the bar every weekend, which, don't get me wrong, I go to the bar.
It's fun.
I turn up. I have fun. But you also have to enrich your life outside of that, especially at our age. So we go on like hikes. We're like, hey, nature hike. Let's go.
Whitewater rafting.
I had a bucket
snowboarding.
list and I was like, these are some things that I want to do before I turn 30. And whitewater rafting was one of those. So I went with the group and I was like, okay, so one of my goals is to go whitewater rafting in the next few months. And everyone was like, let's do it. So we booked a beautiful cabin in the woods. We went whitewater rafting. I almost got hypothermia, but it was an experience. It was an amazing time. And I was so glad to have
Would do again.
the group that we had. It was just so much fun. Yeah. And it's all, you know, as we're sitting around the campfire, the conversations that we're having are just like
magical
and powerful.
Deeper than most.
Yeah. And we're not talking about who's sleeping with who, or we're not talking about people that
how
stars.
crap faced somebody got the night before. I mean,
or what's on TV, or it was, hey, what are your goals? Like, what have you accomplished this week? Oh my gosh, Justin purchased Doge and went.
It was a fun time.
He went full send on it.
I did a full YOLO learning lesson.
It
was a learning lesson. So let's put it this way: I took a major L, but I realized what not to do.
Yeah,
and that changed the next year of my life trading.
Absolutely.
So I learned that in crypto, you can short a position, because when Doge dropped, I was like, I'm just going to buy the dip. I'm just going to buy the dip. I'm just going to buy the dip. Right. 15 times later, account's gone.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. So at that point, I was like, what could I have done different? And then my friend said, you should have shorted it. I was like, I can do that. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, say no more.
Say less.
From that point on, my trading career went straight vertical, because I was like, hey, I can catch the pump now and capitalize on the dump and make money when it drops, which is so much easier than trying to chase a pump.
Is that what they call buying puts?
Yes. So a put is an option call. You're buying a contract. It's similar to a short, but you don't actually own the equity or the coin. You buy a piece of paper that gives you the right to buy something. So, you know, shorting it is actually holding the coin, borrowing against it, selling it, and then buying it back at a lower amount.
Okay.
So you're basically reverse buying it. So you're buying it, selling it, and then buying it back at a lower amount.
I got you.
Like you're borrowing. So when you use leverage, say I wanted to long Ethereum, the broker would give me, let's say I want to do a $500,000 play. I'd put $100,000 up. The broker would give me an additional $400,000 worth of USD or USDT, depending on your currency. And then I would buy Ethereum. Well, if you want to short that, they would give you $500,000 worth of Ethereum. and then you sell it, and then you buy it back in at a lower amount. That's the spread. But if it goes up, you just pretty much paid.
You lost.
Like, you still got to pay it back at that initial price.
Right.
And when I learned that from Doge, I was like, hey, I could have made this money instead of losing it. Instead of me giving up, I just said, what could I have done different next time? What did I learn?
But one of the coolest parts of that trip for me was I brought a friend along. And I mean, he's a person who was successful in his own right, but not necessarily a business owner. After that trip, he was talking about how motivating it was for him. He was like, man, I'm a pretty successful person. I'm definitely not doing bad. But being around those people and hearing them talk about their goals and their successes, he was like, I left this and I wanted to set some really cool, lofty goals.
Yeah, once you see everything come to fruition, it spreads like a wildfire.
A lot of people just need that awakening moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's exciting for us, and I love getting to celebrate with our circle as they reach these goals, especially when they're setting the goals and they're like, okay, so this is super ambitious, but this is my goal. And in 2 months, when they're like, y'all, I hit my goal, that is as exciting for me as if I had accomplished it myself.
Right. It gives you a reason to celebrate too, rather than just go out and party. There's a huge difference between partying and celebrating.
Yes.
Some people go out to the bar every weekend and they're drinking for nothing. They are partying for nothing.
They're partying to cover up.
They are partying to cover up something. That's strong right there.
Or they're drinking away sorrows.
Yes, that is strong.
You
don't want to be caught doing that over and over again. But when you
comfort
go out
drinking,
to celebrate, the drinks taste better, the food tastes better.
Didn't we just talk about that yesterday, Cameraman Jay? That's his nickname now, Cameraman Jay. We literally just talked about that. I was like, don't get me wrong, you know, I come from that era, you know what I mean? But now it's to the point, it's like, it's not worth it unless I'm celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally, like, once you do it.
What are you celebrating? If you're going out and drinking every weekend.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you do to deserve that?
I would love to reiterate, like, we do so many events with our group that are not alcohol related. It's just about, hey, let's get out, let's get some fresh air. Hey, let's all get together and just decompress for a few days.
Yeah, we need to go hiking.
That can be really tough when you stay in that business mode and that grind mode. You have to take time off. Like, you do have to take those little breaks. You don't have a lot of time, so those breaks can't be too long, but having a couple of hours once every few weeks for us to just be able to get together, decompress, and then get to talk about the personal stuff that we have going on, because yes, we talk about business, but it's 50-50 in our group. Like, we set personal goals too, because you've got to have that synchronization.
Yeah, definitely. I've just met you 3 weeks ago. I've told you like 10 times, everything she says is like what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Well, I swear, because where I'm from, you know, obviously on the reservation, there's not much inspiration for anything. It's a lot of drugs, a lot of, you know, alcoholism, sickness, diabetes, things like that. But then on the other hand, you know, you see the actual tribal entity and where we came from as a whole, as a group of people. You know, my mom grew up in a little wooden shack. Like, they're like dirt floor impoverished. And then, you know, so 10% of the people in our tribe are very goal-oriented, entrepreneur, starting businesses, elevating their life, but they're all 40 to 50. I don't fit in with them necessarily, though a lot of them are my mentors. That's literally one of the reasons I moved down here, because I needed to, like, I needed to get in a clear space. I needed to be somewhere, you know, somewhere beautiful enough to where, like, we're 5 miles from the beach, so I can just drive to the beach or whatever. And that's when I linked up with Justin, and he was like, hey, come to this, you know, this network group. I was like, okay.
I came through your house and I was like, this man has a stand and his product, his coffee in his bedroom.
He told me about it.
I was like, this man is living the entrepreneur dream.
Yeah, this is just the very beginning.
Like, this man has a squat rack in his living room.
Justin was like, okay, so I have met someone, and I guarantee you in the next 5 years, he is going to be so elevated, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So
I recognize the work. Yeah. I've been there before. So I was like, when I saw this, I was like, right now, you ain't just talking, you're actually doing.
Yeah, I've been basically on tour for the past 2 months. I've had events that are all 5-hour plus drives, 2-day events, all day. You're standing in the sun all day. Like, obviously, y'all saw how sunburned I was last week. Like, that was like a hustle burn. You know what I mean? Like,
you just got to do it.
This weekend, I'm driving to
But you got to put on sunblock to protect the skin.
Yeah, now I know. I'm driving to Florida, then I have one more event, and then I'm chilling and working the media company for like 2 months because it'll be deep winter. Yeah. So there's not going to be much events. But
deep winter in Alabama.
It gets cold.
It's humid. So
it's like spring for most of the other world.
I shimmer at 65. It's like I'm done.
We got a wet cold though.
Yeah,
it just sucks. Yeah. So back to what we were just talking about. If somebody wanted to recreate what we did for our group, how would you recommend them do that?
So first off, understand you can't do it alone. I had Justin. So if you can find that one other person that can be your soundboard, because we were really each other's soundboard for years before we started this group. One of us would be like, hey, I've got some craziness going on. Can we just have lunch and we can talk about it? Absolutely. And we've always been great about being available for one another. Regardless of what else we have going on, it's like, absolutely, I can meet you for an hour and a half for lunch. So we were really each other's soundboard, and then looking for people that are like-minded. So obviously we were in our 20s, but we're younger professionals. We're not married. We don't have kids. So finding people that are in the same place in life as you is really important, because
all three of us are set up to just excel.
Yeah. So, and then finding the right people.
Take notes.
Because, well, we weren't perfect. So obviously we have an amazing group right now, but we have had people kind of come through that can be distracting. We had some people that their goals would change every single week, or they weren't staying on top of things. If you don't have a good accountability buddy, it's going to be tough. So building that circle, I think I met Andreas at a trade show.
You guys already kind of knew each other, but then when I reached out to him, I was like, hey, I'm starting a networking group with Lindsey. She runs a social media company, and they're like, oh, we know Lindsey. I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This clicked.
Because I think I messaged you about him, and I was like, hey, I ran into him at a trade show. They own a business. They just bought it. We need to talk to them.
And I knew them for a while from that point, and I was like, they're perfect.
And then from there, it's just expanding outside of your circle. So as we go to networking things, anytime I talk to someone that is a like-minded person, that's a young professional, or that's a young key person, or a young entrepreneur, we definitely invite them to get involved in our group. And don't put too much pressure on people, because I feel like if you've got to force someone to come to your group, they're not going to really be in it and invested the way that you need them to be. So
this is a mastermind. It's
find
not a cult.
soundboard, build a circle, set goals, hold each other accountable. We like to, so our big thing is we set 3 personal goals and 3 business goals. And again, they have to be trackable and they have to be realistic. Right? Like Justin can't say, okay, I have $100,000 in the bank right now, and next month I want it to be $1 million. If he doesn't have a set plan in place, that's not going to be achievable. And that's something we definitely communicate with one another. Like, hey, I hear what your goal is, but this is my thought behind it. What if we maybe shift it here? And if that person says, nope,
tone it down a little
my
bit.
goal is $1 million. We're like, okay, what can we do to help get you there? But
reverse engineer it. It's like, hey, I want $1 million. It's like, all right, how do you make $2,700 a day?
Is this achievable?
How do you make $2,700 a day?
Yeah.
Let's break it down. If you can't hit that, you're not going to hit your goal.
Absolutely.
You know, let's scale it back. Maybe 100,000.
Yeah.
That's $277 a day.
And then maybe next year we bump that to 500. Like let's get the framework in place first. And then I am probably the more organized person in our group.
100%.
So I am definitely the one that I write down everyone's goals, and every single week we touch on them. Okay, so Andrew, your goal was to, I usually have them memorized. One of your personal goals was to work out at least 4 times a week, right?
Get more organized in business
weights
too.
Specifically.
Yeah. So
because I already go to the gym and do like machines and a lot of cardio.
Next week I'm gonna say, okay, so your goal was to lift weights 4 times last week. How many times did you lift weights? And I'm gonna write that down, and I keep up with it every week. So as we go along, I kind of track the trend. Okay, so your original goal was to lift weights 4 times a week. For the past couple of weeks, you've been averaging 2 or 3 times. So what do you need to do to get to your goal? Or do we need to shift your goal? Because maybe you have some other things that have popped up, and maintaining fluidity with that is important, because sometimes your goals change. You may have something that happens and you're like, hey, so it's actually way more important for me to get my diet on point, because that's something that I feel like is holding me back. But just maintaining that pretty constant communication, and then set a meeting place, keep the meeting place the same time, same day, same place, because that consistency makes it so much easier. If we know that every Tuesday at 8 a.m. we have our meeting, then if someone asks me, hey, can we meet Tuesday at 8:45? I can say, nope, I've got a standing appointment. And this maintains a standing appointment. I don't cancel this group for anything that is not a dire emergency or me being extremely sick.
If you have somebody in your group that only comes once a month or once every other month, it's not important to them. It needs to be equally important across the board.
Same way we're treating the podcast.
And there's no excuses for it. We have 6 business owners that live very hectic lives that commit to an hour a week. This is an hour a week. I would probably be willing to bet this is probably 30-40% of the reason why I've been successful the past year. And I've only committed an hour a week. That's 4 hours a month. 4 hours a month doubled my entire business.
If it's important, people will make time for it. That rings true for every aspect of your life. If you've got someone that's making excuses, it's not that important to them. Everyone can make excuses, but making time for something that's important, don't make excuses. Make time. If it's a goal, make time for it. Plan it out in your day.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where if you want it, you're gonna do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like if it's truly your goal to become successful, or to get in shape, anything like that, if you really want it, you'll get it. Make
time for it. And likewise, I know Justin touched on it, but if you have those people that are coming once a month and they're being flaky and they're not being a good accountability buddy, get those people out of your circle.
It's going to be more energy trying to drag them. This is a group where you move together.
Absolutely.
This isn't a training group. This isn't a, here's all of my problems.
You're my not their coach. Group. You're not their therapist. You're not their trainer.
A group of people working together as a mastermind.
We're a team.
And the people that get, removed due to inconsistency, maybe that's a wake-up call for them. Maybe it'll help them in the long run.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, we've tried, it's just not working. Yeah. And we haven't had to actually kick somebody out. They just kind of drift away.
Usually when you can stop sending those weekly invitations or reminders, and they just stop coming.
And if you guys want to hack this, meet once a week, like she said, reach out to, it could be a stranger, and let them know, hey, I want to start a mastermind with you. I'll find 3 or 4 other people.
This could be somebody, 3 or 4 other people. Let's get our 8 people together.
This could be somebody that just started out in their journey and they want to surround themselves with people on another level. Reach out to somebody and say, this is what I want to do. I'd be willing to bet they would say, sounds like a great idea. What's the worst that could happen?
Absolutely.
If it fails, do that 30 times. I guarantee you talk to 30 people, you'll find 1 or 2 people that want to meet once a week and talk about goals, crypto, stocks, business, whatever you guys can all talk about to move forward.
And I love our variety in our group. We don't have, everyone that's like crypto geniuses. We don't have everyone that's social media geniuses. We have a big variety. I mean, we've got a yogi. She's very much so our like free spirit, and she's just like the positive little she's the positive little like sunshine rainbow of the group. We have me, who's probably more of the structured discipline,
the crack the whip.
Yeah. I'm definitely the one that's like, okay guys, so let's get back on point. But I love the variety that we have, because together, I mean, it's just such a well-rounded group. You don't want to have everyone be yes men in your life. You do want to have those people that challenge you and say, well, hey, but what about this?
Yeah, this can be used in any way, like, you know, whether you're young and you're trying to become an athlete and you're wanting to play high school ball, find a few friends that are also in the same.
Surround yourself with better athletes.
Yeah. Look for older people that have already gone down that path and, you know, saw success. Look
for the crazy people that are running 15 miles in the rain. Yeah. If you're wanting to run 15 miles a day, those are the people you should be surrounding yourself with.
Go find David Goggins.
Yeah.
You probably have on your Facebook that one guy that's just trying his hardest to be successful or is killing it. Yeah. Everybody has that one person they know in life. Like, that dude is absolutely just crushing it. This guy is killing it. Reach out to him and say, or her, this is what I want to do. Let's meet once a week. I'm going to find 3 or 4 other people just like you. Or if you have 3 or 4 other friends, that gets your foot in the door. 10 out of 10 recommend. The worst thing that happens is it fails, and then you try again.
And then you keep going. Yeah.
So you mentioned you guys travel a lot, and you all are, you know, running businesses, investing. How is that balance? Definitely, even like a work-life balance. Like Justin explained earlier, he needs to, you know, find a time of the day where he just, you know, shuts it off for a little while. How are you guys finding that balance in your life?
So I work hard, I play just as hard.
True that.
I like that.
You have to have that downtime. And we all love traveling. Again, most of us are single. We don't have kids. So we're really in a place in our life where I think people take the term selfish to be negative. I am very proud of being in a selfish place in my life. And as a matter of fact, that's one of my goals that I talked about. I'm working on being less of a yes man for all of the people that aren't equally contributing to me and to my journey. So being selfish and saying, I want an experience, I want an adventure, I want to travel. We love snowboarding. That was one of our goals. So we're like, hey, we all want to go snowboarding. Let's make it a goal. And these people have become my best friends. So who better to go and play hard with than some of my best friends that I know while we're on the trip are not going to be bringing a bunch of drama. They're not going to be fighting with boyfriends and girlfriends. They're not going to be bringing the group down. It's just going to be an absolutely phenomenally amazing time.
100%.
So
I like that.
Work hard, play hard, and you make time for things that are important to you.
And the good thing about having an entrepreneur group is we don't have to request time off per se. We don't have one paid week of vacation per year.
You set your own schedule.
If you run a business that can be hectic, you might not be able to get away from it, but it does make it a little bit easier when everybody is kind of independent and runs their own business. Having a group of friends that is mobile and can do that kind of stuff is very valuable. But if you're not at that level yet,
having people that are willing to make that a priority, because Andres and Shelby, I don't know that they're business owners. They have a brick and mortar, so someone has to be there operating their business.
They fixed that though, and they've been traveling a lot lately.
They have. So you will make it happen if it's important to you. That's one of my biggest things with where I am in my journey right now.
We should get a bigger table and bring them too.
100%.
Yeah. If someone's making excuses for why they can't make time for my life, those are people that I don't continue to hang out with. If I'm important to them, they will make time for me. That's part of the reason I'm still single.
It's really hard to carry people on your back. I quit trying to carry people a long time ago.
Can't.
You will be exhausted.
It's like
trying
the
to carry
airplane
people
rule.
on you.
You know,
put your mask on
plane's
first,
going down.
and then give it to somebody else.
Take care of yourself first.
And like she said, being selfish. It's not like
that's not a bad thing.
It's not being selfish to the evil extent, but it's like I'm going to make sure I'm taken care of before I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. Because if I take care of you and I'm failing, I'm going to do a horrible job trying to take care of you. You know, if I'm not the best version of myself, how do I help you?
You need to be the best version of yourself to be able to help other people. And if sometimes that means taking time and saying, hey, I've got to cut this back, I've got to cut this out, I actually don't have time for this, I would much rather tell someone no at the forefront than to have to fall short or feel like I've failed them or failed myself. Yeah,
I like to think of it and not, it's kind of funny because the name of your business is Social Butterfly. Butterfly. You know, a butterfly doesn't start a butterfly. It has to cocoon.
You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it has to go in that dark space and eventually break free out of it, and it becomes the butterfly. So it's not selfish that a caterpillar cocoons. It's its nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah.
I like that.
Y'all want to move on to another question?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. We talked about travel and business. What are some of the different types of companies that you're working for?
So I started my business. I come from a background of parents and families who have been small business owners. So for me, really being able to help these small businesses get on the playing field of big corporations. Most of the businesses that I work with are not businesses that can necessarily afford a full-time marketer. But without getting on that playing field, without having what they need, they're never going to be able to compete. So one of the big deaths of small businesses are really a lack of resources. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that I'm able to be a resource for some of these smaller businesses. So that is, I don't want to, not that I won't work with big corporations. You don't have the same appreciation. That's really, I mentioned it earlier, what pulled me through the dark period of my life was my customers who were so excited and so grateful. I mean, to have that positivity, that really pulled me through that. And I love working with small businesses. The appreciation, the gratitude. Yeah. And it's big wins for them, right? It's not just, okay, you met my expectations. It's, damn girl, you're a rock star. That was the text I got from one of my customers earlier. He was like, damn girl, you're a rock star. And I was like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
My love language is words of affirmation. Tell me I'm pretty.
Yeah. I mean, they're business owners. They know what it takes. They know the hustle. They know the grind. They're gonna applaud you when they obviously see what you're doing, And
I love that for having these people that I can relate to on so many levels saying, I couldn't do this without you. You're amazing. I mean, to me, yes, I like money. You have to have money to live, but having that sense of gratitude and that reward is, that's much more powerful to me. I get a huge sense of satisfaction from that. And I think that's important, to find something that makes you feel good.
Definitely.
You're also helping their families. You're supporting you're supporting the community too. Small businesses run the world. Well, not much anymore, but they're the backbone.
They are definitely the foundation.
Yeah. Every big corporation started as a small business, so don't get discouraged.
Everything big started as something
Apple
small.
started out in a garage.
I also love working with startups. That's so fun for me to get to meet these people that are starting something young, and they're so excited because that excitement is contagious. So I love startups.
Social media used to be a social club.
Yeah.
Yeah, or networking events.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The internet used to be encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah. You used to have to go to the library.
You used to have to call and talk to people on the landline.
Yeah.
After 9.
I grew up with the spin thing.
The rotary?
The
rotary dial? Yeah.
Rotary?
Back in the beeper days.
Yeah.
DSL?
Yeah, DSL.
Dial up.
Yeah. Yeah, and in today's world, I don't want to say it's easy to start a business because it does take that, 110% effort.
It's never been easier.
It's never been easier.
There's no excuse now.
Perfect way to put it.
You can start an Amazon store or a Spotify store.
There is a
Shopify store.
limitless and unlimited amount of resources. You can find podcasts. You can find audiobooks. You can find YouTube videos. The amount of free resources you have right now, if you wanted to start a business, is absolute insanity.
Your parents didn't have this. If they wanted an entrepreneur handbook or like course, it would cost them $1,000. They'd have to go to a seminar. They would probably have to go to 40 of them before one really clicked.
But they also didn't necessarily have the same competition we have now.
Might be true.
Facts. So I'm going to break from our typical questions right now, and I'm going to ask you one from Instagram Live earlier. Miss Rebecca Mills asked, who are some of your clients, which we kind of covered that just now, and what are some of the results that you've seen?
So I'll touch back a little bit. I do boutique style marketing. So with my customers, it's not one size fits all. I don't have set packages to sell people. I typically have a minimum of 3 meetings before I actually sign a contract with a client. The first one is really, let's just get to know each other. Let's meet. Let's make sure we vibe. Let's make sure our personalities are going to click, because with what I do, it's so individualized and it's so specific to me and to my style. And if I'm meeting with someone that has a completely different style than me, I am definitely not afraid to tell people, hey, look, I think your goals are going to be different, or your style is going to be different. The last thing I want is to have someone that's disappointed or feeling like this just isn't going well. So first meeting is usually just, hey, do we click? I also like to talk about what their goals are. So I'm a huge advocate on setting trackable goals, and that's something I do with my customers. And every company is different.
They're seeing your guys' goals as results.
So some of the companies have slightly more open-ended, so they're trying to build brand recognition, right? That's really, they want to build their personality. They're wanting to expand their brand. They're wanting more people to get to know about their business and to know who they are and to associate painting with my business, right? If you're a painter, you want people to think, okay, I need a painter. This is a painting company. I've heard them. Social media is such a tricky but really cool marketing tool, because yes, you can do advertisements. I know you're a huge fan of the billboard guy, who has
Alexander
all of the billboards. So you can either take that route, or you can go a little more touching on people's subconscious. You can play a little more in the background. I talk to all of my customers. There are 2 ways that people are going to find your business. They're either going to be looking for you, or you're going to show them something and they're going to say, oh, I need that. So what are your goals? Are you trying to get in front of people, or are you trying to showcase your product and have them go, damn, that's so cool, I need that? So it's hard for me to really answer your original question, because every business that I work with has different goals. Some of them are revenue related. Hey, I'm trying to increase my revenue by $50,000 this year. I'm trying to double and triple. I've got customers that have done that. They've really gone from, in the 100,000 range to over $2 million in the period of a year. But we've had to make sure he has the structure in place for that. What is going to be your holdup? If you want to get to that revenue, what do you need to get there? Do you need employees? Okay, let's do a hiring campaign. So I really like to sit down with my customers or potential customers and say, what are your goals? Here's how to get here. And sometimes that first step is not working with me. Sometimes there are steps that they have to take and circle back around to me. And I love small businesses and I love startups, so I would much rather see that business succeed than to get money from them here and now. If I know 2 years from now you're going to be in a better place and I'm going to be able to be a part of this journey, I will send you in the right direction rather than say, okay, here, let me just take as much money as I can from you to close this sale. I want these businesses to succeed, so I give them whatever tools that I have available to help them succeed. And if that's my time, great. If that's advice for them to go do these other steps first, I'm definitely not afraid of sending them on the right path.
I think you answered that perfectly. That was a great answer.
Killed it.
Because so many people think of marketing as strictly increased revenue.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
It's hard to track it too sometimes.
Yeah, the data. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, how many sales am I going to get?
I mean, if you've got like a specific ad that you're running, you can usually track ROI on that. But ROI,
how many people are going to come through the door?
Yeah.
Hopefully more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Might take a month, might take 3, might take 4.
So social media, something I feel like a lot of people don't understand. You're not going to see immediate results. A successful campaign is going to take 3 to 6 months. Now,
emphasis on campaign.
If you have a couple of sales within the first few weeks, that's amazing. And I've definitely seen results like that from customers where they're like, hey, we just started this last week and already my phone is ringing off the hook. I'm stoked. I love celebrating that with them. But I also like to make sure that everyone has very realistic expectations from the get-go, that this is a snowball rolling down a hill. It's going to start small before you gain traction, but you really have to trust the process and you have to stick with it. Consistency is key with social media.
I'm sold. You got my business.
Yes.
No, but like seriously though, you know, in forms of the same topic, relieved pressure on a business owner can be seen as
you are almost like an employee in their like you're almost like a family member at that point.
Yeah, you become like a partner.
Yeah, well, and for owner operator marketers, so often marketing is going to fall to the wayside. A lot of the customers that I have are owner operators who are trying to do their own marketing, but you have fires that have to get put out throughout the day, and you may not necessarily think that you have time to get that marketing done. The problem with that is 2 months from now, if you're not focusing on marketing, your phone is not going to be ringing nearly as much. So you need to keep that consistency, because where you think you may not have time for it right now, what are you costing yourself in potential revenue 3 months from now because you're not putting in the work?
And SEO keywords change.
Yeah.
Google changes their algorithm.
Yeah, they
frequently.
change.
Every
Instagram
3
changes.
months.
It's such a fast growing industry because of that, and because, you know, everybody and their brother wants to start an SMMA.
Yeah.
But it's not for the weak.
Do it. I mean, I'm a big advocate. This is not a limited market. There is so many different clients you could go after. If it's something you want to do it. But be careful with overselling yourself, and make sure that what you're promising people, and I know you have a question for later, but make sure that what you're promising to people is what you're actually bringing to the table. Don't promise anything that you're not 100% certain you can't give.
Be able to produce.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is have someone say, man, you've let me down.
Yeah. Has that ever happened?
It has at one point in time, but it was a person who didn't have realistic expectations.
Right.
And it was one of my earlier customers before I had the knowledge that I had now to actually let her know, like, hey, this isn't realistic. And it's someone I gave really special pricing to because I bought into the sob story, right? And really at the end of the day, she had kind of said, well, I'm disappointed because I feel like I got ripped off. So I sent her whole contract. I have everything in writing with people. This is what I'm giving to you. So I was able to say, okay, so this is what we agreed on. What did I not do that I told you I was going to do? Because the way I can see it, I've checked all of the boxes of things that I told you I would do. And it just came down to her wanting free stuff.
Is that what kind of started the 3 meetings prior to engagement?
Yeah. So when I first...
You gotta make sure the clients click. She mentioned clicking.
Yeah, you bumped your head enough times.
Your vibes. You got to vibe.
You have to learn how to fire a client. I learned that in real estate.
And it's hard, especially if you're starting and you're a young business. I had a conversation with a friend of mine about this last night. When I first got started, it was so hard for me to say no to money because I was like, I sunk my life savings into this. I don't know where my next sale is going to come from, so I don't want to tell anyone no. Play it smart, because I had to learn the hard way that you don't want to have one customer taking up 90% of your time.
Facts.
One bad customer will cost you 3 good customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bad customer will ruin your life.
Absolutely.
Mentally.
And I know you have a question, and I'll touch on my process whenever you get to that, because I do have a process and a way of firing clients.
To touch on what you just said, though, those lessons learned eventually become SOPs.
Absolutely. And that's why I have the 3 meeting minimum. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for this. There's a method to that madness.
Now, from then on out, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have here next. Well, I guess that was our next question. What is your process to address issues? How did you? So obviously you said, you showed her the contract.
I'm not afraid to tell people that they can leave.
It just sounds like she might not have been mature enough to understand what business and marketing is.
She might have just been hard to work with, and nothing that you did was going to satisfy.
Yeah.
It was really it was a situation that I was going to lose. And if I would have known going into it what I know now, I never would have taken that person on as a client. But it was such an amazing opportunity for me to get to have her as a client, because I learned so much from that in regards to what not to do. One of the biggest things I do with my company that I think is different is I have an easy out clause for both of us. So if at any point in time, either me or my customer is not happy, we both have the ability to vacate that contract with just written notice. I have customers that can just send me a text or email and say, hey, thank you so much for what you've done, but I'd like to terminate my service agreement. That's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't want a customer that isn't equally excited to get to work with me. And when I have those difficult people, I do like having the ability to have an out to say, hey, really your goals and where you're going, there are other steps, and I think you might be better served moving in a different direction. And as a business owner, you shouldn't be afraid to have those conversations with people, because having that conversation early on can save you so much of a headache and bad reputation in the background. Because the last thing I want to do in our small community is to get a reputation as someone that doesn't follow through.
Right. An easy out definitely means she can sleep at night.
Yeah.
I got one for you.
Like a baby.
I got one for you. Let's talk vision. Where is Social Butterfly in 5 years?
Oh, boy.
Long game. So when you start a business, I recommend people
1 year plan, 3 year plan, and a 5 year plan. It
will come quicker than you think. Reverse engineer it. Let's say you run a social media company. You want 5 different branches in 5 different,
So for
counties.
me, 5 year plan with Social Butterfly is really having a network. I want to find more people that are like me. And I'm working with 2 right now that are younger people that are interested in getting into the industry. And I am not afraid of competition. But I would much rather have that person on my team than have them be competition for me. So for me, 5 year plan with Social Butterfly is to have little Social Butterfly satellite offices all over the place.
Little caterpillars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to.
Little caterpillars.
I want to build.
Butterflies.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's, what is that saying? Why rebuild the wheel?
Yeah. I don't want to build the wheel.
Yeah, it's already.
And don't recreate the wheel.
Yeah,
and I am happy to help other young people who are getting started learn from my mistakes, because I've made plenty of them since I've gotten started. But every one of those mistakes, every one of those obstacles was an opportunity to learn and to grow. And I think keeping that mindset, that's one of the biggest things for me, is trying to see the positivity in every situation. And yeah, you might have those fails and you might have those setbacks, but what did you learn? Because that can sometimes be more valuable,
more important than what to do.
A short-term win.
Yeah, on the other end of the setback is the comeback, for sure.
Yeah.
So
and the setback, you know, that's what they say, what is it, 90% of businesses fail.
Yeah, in the first year.
Could be financial or it could be emotional, which, you know, people get in their feelings.
Yeah.
They get hurt and then they give up, and that's where the business
Don't take
dies.
things personally. When someone says they don't want to do business with you, shake their hand and tell them you wish them the best.
Yep.
And you hope if they have any questions or you can help them, you'd be more than happy. That when I've got people that go in other directions, I'm like, hey, if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. And I've gotten referrals from that before, from people that didn't necessarily want to work with me, but they loved my personality so much that they're like, hey, let me send this other person your way.
They might not be ready yet, but you might need a customer in 6 months.
And be careful about what bridges you burn. Like I said, I'm not afraid to fire clients, but I try really hard not to do that in a cold way. I try really hard, if I do have someone that I feel the need to terminate, to at least set them on the path for whatever success that they're trying to get. And if that's referring them to someone else, I'm not afraid to do that. If I say, hey, I think this other company is going to be much more in line with what you're looking for, I will gladly do that, because I would much rather them say, hey, Lindsey from Social Butterfly wasn't really my vibe, but she set me up with this other company and this is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's an abundance of businesses out
So
here
many.
in our area too. I was telling cameraman Jay here yesterday, we went out to eat. Cameraman Jay. No cap, half cap. So obviously we have like a film production type media company. Yeah, of course we can do some marketing. It's not our forte. Our forte is more creative ads. Like we're not the actual guy that presses, you know, boost. We make the creative content.
You make the video, and you make
Mm-hmm.
take the photography and stuff.
Yeah. So one of our hobbies is, driving down the road, pick one billboard or one company and just look at it, and on a split second, what kind of video ad would I make for them?
I do the same thing.
You know
it's
what I
so
mean?
funny,
Yeah.
but I'll see things and I'm like,
What would I do for them?
this is the
I could grow their
campaign.
revenue.
This
No
is,
doubt.
or I'll see, I'm the biggest one. I'll see a commercial and I'm like, oh, there's so many ways that I would improve that.
Yeah.
Like there are so many things that I would do differently. And I think that's the difference in like a creative mindset.
I know, what was it like? It was about 2016. I just moved back here from overseas, and I freelanced a marketing gig and literally doubled their revenue in 3 months. I couldn't believe it. I was only making $400 a week, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this for other people at that time.
Yeah.
Now I do, but I was like, I need to create my own brands and literally do that for myself.
Yeah.
That's where the coffee and the clothing came from.
Yeah.
And then, the media kind of encompasses it all. And then obviously I have a holding company that they all sit under.
You said something about bringing in two younger people and trying to help them. And I want to touch on that and say how powerful that is about influencing the younger generation and not letting them make the same mistakes and showing them what not to do.
Oh, absolutely. If I can help someone that's climbing that ladder, avoid some of the tribulations that I've gone through, 100% I'll do that. And my thought is I'm putting out into the world what I'm hoping to get back. I've had so many people be just mentors to me that could have viewed me as competition, but instead said, look, I want to see you succeed. Let me help you. I'm trying to feel that same energy for everyone else. Mm-hmm. And especially if I can bring them into the circle and bring them into the team, them being successful is only going to help me. And even if they're not necessarily working for my company, the more successful SMMAs that we have, the better it is.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that, for the longest time, people thought business was always cutthroat.
There's a reason why B2B is huge.
I think
business to business is a huge
I think
industry.
that's a very old school approach and an old school mentality.
Very old.
There's the competition isn't that fierce. You're going to have a different style, especially when you get into marketing. Everyone has a different style. You're not going to vibe with everyone. It's just not going to happen. But the more of a positive reputation our industry gets, I think the more it's going to help all of us.
Was it like the most wealthy people have 50% of the currency, and you're still
the top 1% owns it's like 50+% of the wealth, 76% of the wealth. Yeah.
And even though they have that huge share off the table, you're still able to go make $1 million if you want.
Yeah.
10 million, 20
But you can make $100 million and nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a difference.
It's not going to affect the money pool.
They printed $6 trillion.
It's so abundant.
You're not hurting.
Out here.
Yeah.
It's not scarce. The
and
scarcity mindset is over.
Opportunities are endless.
Look, I was telling him yesterday, I was like, we're in the create your reality age. We're in the, age of abundance, age of information. Like literally, if you take these key concepts, put them to practice, build even if you don't build a full networking group, find some people.
Three.
You're gonna see things.
2 people,
change.
3 people.
Things are gonna change. Doors are gonna open, and that's just how it works.
Yeah.
You can literally, and you could be a younger person watching this, but when I grew up, I'm 29, and definitely the people before me, 35, 40. They weren't talking about vibe this and vibe that. No one knew what a vibe was. Now you can walk into a room and feel the entire vibe of the whole place. You know when people is being real and when they're not being real.
Yeah.
Like it's like everybody's got superpowers now. If you want to go make $10 million, make a business plan, put the energy behind it.
It is possible now.
It's going to happen.
Do it.
People make cryptocurrency, they make coins that turn into $50 billion, $10 billion ecosystems almost overnight now.
My business partner sent me.
NFTs, perfect example. Dude, Tory Lanez sold, it was $1 million worth of NFTs in 14 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He pressed one button and within 14
Money Machine
seconds,
went brr.
$1 million.
No cap.
Money Machine go brr. Shout out to Ethereum right
I
now.
stole that from Justin.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, man, like, and once you start doing this, your story could be different. But me, I definitely had a detox period, not just, from changing my diet. I had like a detox period of, man, I went like 5 extra years paranoid for what? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm not living illegal. Like why am I paranoid? Mm-hmm. It's a detox from, especially if you're stepping out of a toxic lifestyle. That detox has to take place.
Yeah.
You have to know that's what you're going through.
Toxic lifestyle, toxic relationships, toxic friendships.
Yeah, that dark night, what I mean, that comes, and if you just, don't smoke it away, don't eat it away, feel it, and live through
handle it.
Yeah, handle it, and then you're going to wake up a better person, you're going to wake up stronger, and then, there's that much more unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. Own it. Own the bad times.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes. How does somebody, what are like the top 5 things you would recommend if a younger person wants to start a social media company? What are your 5 steps?
Oh,
if you want
5 steps?
If you want, it could be 3 steps, it could be 5.
You're going off script on me.
Preferably 5. I'm going to hit you with a curveball. This is the meat and potatoes section.
Here, is this the red pill? Is this the red pill moment?
Right.
So, first off, have a good work ethic. If you're not the type of person that is a self-starter, you're going to really struggle. Creativity is incredibly important, and some people are creative and some people aren't, and I'm not saying that in a mean way, but you've got to be creative. You've got to play those games where you drive by the billboards and you see it and you're like, this is what I would do different. Having a good social circle is important. I went the route of building my legal structure before I actually started getting clients. To me, that's what I felt like I needed to feel comfortable and confident. So before I signed on my first customer, I had my contract ready to go. I had my legal structure built. I had my accounting system not perfect, but it was there. So have a plan. And before I ever went after my first customer, I had my mission statement, I had my 1-year plan, I had my 3-year plan, and I had my 5-year plan. And yes, that plan has deviated and it's changed a little bit, but I did go into this with a large amount of organization and thought behind it. This wasn't something that I pulled out of my back pocket and said, I'll wing it. And having support, and if that's not your family and it's not a relationship and it's not a friendship, find some sort of support structure, because as you have those losses and you have those bad days, you're going to need someone to fall back on. You're going to need that person that you say, hey, can we have lunch? I've had a really crappy day and I just need to get my words out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm calling my mom every day like, hey, what's up? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, she's like, what do you want? I was like, damn, no, I guess I'm getting old.
My parents were amazing. Like I said, I was fortunate when I first started Social Butterfly that I was with another person. My partner was very supportive. If you've got a lot of negativity and a lot of kickback in your life, it's going to be that much harder, because as you hit those roadblocks, those people are going to say, well, I told you that this wasn't going to work out. Go ahead and cut those people out from the get-go, and have those people that when you hit that roadblock or you have an issue, they're like, hey, how can we help you get through this?
Those people won't be clapping when you succeed.
That's going to be the difference in you being successful and not being successful, because it's so much harder when you have people that kick you when you're down rather than have those people that say, hey, here, let me give you a hand up.
So step 1, build the entity.
Yeah.
The entity structure.
I built my entity. I don't necessarily think that that's as critical. It's just all about the vibe that you want to go with. I had an image in my head, and based off of the business plan that I had set up, I built my structure first. But have a plan. I think the plan is more important, and have a vision and where you want it to go. And along the way, keep that vision in mind. The entire time when I started Social Butterfly, I was with my ex, who I was planning on moving every 3 years. My goal was to start a Social Butterfly agency everywhere I went.
Still doable.
Hire someone along the way to manage it, operate it.
You don't think you need a provider? I'm playing. Red pill.
It's actually no. It's actually that's actually strong.
I'm playing.
You know,
that was a joke.
Not to derail it. This is advice for the girls. Devoting your life to a guy could be either the best or worst thing that you do. You need to pick a strong guy to devote yourself to.
That's not a girl or a guy thing.
That's just a person thing.
That's a person thing. Find a partner. Don't find someone that is a bully. Don't find someone that thinks they're going to tell you how to live your life. You need a partner. That's someone that's not going to sponge off of you. They're not going to be mental leeches. They're not going to be emotional leeches. You really need a partner. And that's something that in my personal life, I am so aware of now, because I've had that situation go so wrong. And having your relationship feeling like the rug gets jerked out from underneath you can derail you faster than anything else. So I am so incredibly picky about the people that I have in my life. I'm not just going to find someone and completely attach myself to them. I'm much more so on the opposite side of that now, where you have to prove to me that you have something valuable and that you're willing to be a partner before you ever get to make it to the inner circle. And that's friendships. That's friendships. That's relationships. That's everything. If you're not going to prove that you're willing to put in the time, if you're going to be the type of person that makes excuses for why you can't do it, I don't have time for you.
And like you said, the provider thing, if you're a girl and or guy, this usually is female oriented, don't give up your whole life for the guy. But if you have a company that you're growing, like she just said, she was going to hop around city to city opening new locations, you can still do that while married if you devote your life to a guy. And now you have a backup plan. If things were to go south, you're not just going to be left high and dry.
No, burn your bridge. Don't have a backup plan.
Well, no, the backup plan is your own business, your own company. So in her scenario, if her and this guy wouldn't have worked out, she didn't give up her corporate job. She had her own business. She was growing something alongside of him. working in synergy, walking side by side.
Yeah.
So if things were to go south, free game for all the girls, having your own company separate from your husband, you can mix and match to an extent. But having your own thing going on is super, super important, especially nowadays.
And be careful who you bring in, because that's something that I've seen so many small businesses get derailed. They bring on the wrong teammate, they bring on the wrong employee, they bring on the wrong person. That can derail you really quickly. So I am very careful about the people that I bring into the team. Like, I want people that share the vision. I want people that have similar work ethic. I don't want to spend a lot of time training someone and investing my time, which is an important commodity to me, and someone that isn't going to be there in 2 weeks.
That's so true. Like,
free game.
Yeah, like everything you're saying, like I've definitely been through it. I can vouch. That's 100%.
This is advice that somebody who's 20 years old can be listening to and cut out a lot of time.
You're going to go through it. You're going to see it. Some people fill voids with food. Others fill voids with relationships. Some fill voids with, alcohol, whatever it could be. You need to find the people that aren't necessarily filling the void. They're experiencing the void and they're choosing to leave it, and then they're finding something to celebrate. Yeah.
Well, I think with anyone that you bring into your life, I feel like where a lot of our generation goes wrong is they're looking for that person that completes them. I am a complete person on my own. I'm looking for someone that is going to, help me along the way and be part of a team and be an equal player. I'm not looking for another half of me. I'm a whole person on my own. I'm looking for someone I can vibe with, someone that I can have experiences with, someone I can have fun with, someone that's going to support me. I'm not looking for someone that's going to drag me down or add a bunch of stress or drama to my life, because where I am right now, I want to be selfish. I don't have time for that. I've got a vision. I've got a plan. I'm growing. I've got goals, and I'm meeting my goals, and I can't do that if I've got people holding me back.
You need to clip that.
Yeah, we will, definitely.
You need to clip that.
That's that old
that
mindset.
Needs to be real.
If you complete me and all those types of things like that, like it's old and played out. Like, we know the truth. You're supposed to be...
Two broken people doesn't make a whole person.
No.
You just have two broken people.
You've just got two broken people.
Oh, man.
If you can't be happy, if you can't be happy on your own, if you can't be happy where you are, that should be the first sign to you that you're not ready to be with another person.
You're only as good in a relationship as good as you are single.
Absolutely.
You will just ruin the other person. If you are not in a good spot in life, you're going to drag somebody else into your exact same position.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want someone that's going to lift me up, not bring me down.
Facts. So we went off topic a little bit.
That was the meat and potatoes.
Way off topic.
I think
Justin pulled
value.
red pill, blue pill on me.
Yeah, I think that brings a lot of value. And
I just got 20 minutes worth of clips, though.
A lot of entrepreneurs think about those types of things. You know what I mean? Like, there's that cocoon period stage where people are, they're kind of wondering, like, should I verge off? Oh, the last time I got in a relationship, it affected my business. And then it becomes like this big, hectic thing. It's like dating becomes a liability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Being an entrepreneur, a relationship is not the same.
No.
Dating somebody who is an entrepreneur, you need patience. It is a struggle. They're going to be working stupid hours, crazy hours, inconsistent hours. They're going to be always stressed. Yeah. You need to have a partner that can handle that.
Yeah. It shouldn't be this tough negative thing if you have the right person. But I've definitely, as a female, feel like I've fallen into a place where I've had men and potential partners in my life say, well, you need to make me a priority. You don't get made a priority until you're at a place where you get to be a priority. And that's not something that happens after a couple weeks.
Do not devote your life until you get that ring.
It's definitely an energy thing to me. Like, if you're maintaining a solid energy and, you're doing your own thing, and I'm at the same time maintaining my energy as in, pursuing goals and living in my purpose, those things attract. and you don't have to be made a priority. The word priority doesn't even exist. You're just experiencing life together, and it's almost like an unspoken type of word for priority. It's just you enjoy being in that situation, and that situation becomes a benefit.
Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for in like anyone that comes into my life, whether that be a potential partner or friends. I'm looking for someone that I can have fun with and experience with, and someone that is going to help me in my goals. That for me is an ideal partner. That's not necessarily, I'm not going to box in and say that has to be another entrepreneur, another business owner. I'm just looking for someone that understands the vision and is willing to give me what I need to get there. And if sometimes that's extra space, or sometimes that's a shoulder to cry on, or sometimes that's a little bit of like, hey, let me help you lift this box, let me carry some of the load, that's amazing. But I think finding someone that understands the vision and is willing to be part of that journey with you is important.
That's a
free game.
Big time, yeah. Free game. We coined that term last time. That's Justin's term. That's my term.
Free game.
Free game.
It's getting on a shirt soon.
No cap.
Yeah.
Cameraman's telling me to back up from the mic. I keep forgetting. Yeah.
That was a lot of meat and potatoes. That was a lot of good quality content.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I think we do. Let's see.
You want some more meat and potatoes?
Oh boy.
How do you handle client communication specifically? Is it, is there a certain time of the day that you're like, okay, it's too late?
No.
No, me either, dude.
No.
I swear.
So I do like to have that moment, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, where I can like unplug, literally and figuratively. So that's when the technology stops. But I've got my business owners that work different hours than what I may necessarily work. I do definitely, that's part of working with a small business owner. If they've got time at 9:30 at night to talk because they just put the kids down for bed and that's literally the only time they have, I will make time for them at that moment.
I'm sure they love you for that.
I also make time for myself, but scheduling that in advance, I don't like to wait until the last minute for anything. I do try to be accommodating, but you also have to understand that if you are too accommodating, you don't look like as much of an asset. So if you literally drop what you're doing at the drop of the hat for everyone in your life, that really devalues your time.
I definitely see where you're coming from. Becoming an asset for your clients, means that you're not overbearing them. You're coming in and you're performing when you need to, what you need to do. The tasks at hand are being completed in a timely manner. If you're being open and honest with them, if you have an obstacle you're facing with something that to do with their business, and
or if they have an obstacle, because I've had some of them contact me and say, hey, this is an issue that I'm having. I like to maintain an open form of communication, and whatever form of communication the customer prefers is usually what I try to do. So if they prefer texting, I'll text them. If they prefer a phone call, we do phone calls. If they like in person, that usually takes a little more pre-planning because I've got to block time out. But I am old school in that sense that when I meet with new prospects and new customers, I like to do that in person as much as possible.
Yeah, for sure. One of my biggest obstacles so far, trying to help other business owners with their marketing, especially in the town I'm from, it's at least 15 years behind this one. And Foley and Baldwin County, it's at least 5 years behind the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Obviously you can go to Miami and approach a business and get a meeting and, tell them what you do. And they know exactly what the ROI off proper marketing is, what the return on their ad spend is going to be. If I try to tell,
Grandpa Joe why he needs Facebook.
Yeah. Even though his revenue's sinking and he's worried and he's stressed and his wife's getting stressed, you tell them what you can do. They understand, but they're not understanding to a point to where they're like, I'm going to get return on investment. I should have been doing this yesterday. Like I should have been called Social Butterfly. You know what I mean? Like things like that. I'm hoping that definitely some local people where I'm from here are listening to this and have the time to research. Well, what is proper marketing? What is digital marketing? You know, what is an SMMA? Yeah. What is ROAS?
How much is it going to cost not to use it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and as a business, if you're not spending 5 to 10% of your annual revenue on marketing, you're slacking.
Yeah.
That's
really the best way to build. You have to set a budget for that, and even if you don't have much of a budget, you've got to find room in the budget for marketing, or you'll never be able to grow.
I mean, we're coming out of a year where the average ROI on a proper Facebook ad was 20 times 20. You know, a lot of the clothing brands, especially in the clothing brand field, a lot of these guys were, you know, like God is Dope. Y'all saw me wearing their brand this morning. You know, these guys started last year. They're, you know, making $2-3 million a month from Facebook, Instagram ads. Like,
you love to see
it.
Mm-hmm. You love to see it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, but you know, these things, they do disappear. This is an ever-changing industry.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Prices change.
Social media marketing next year, 6 months from now, is going to be different than what it was. Yeah, absolutely.
We're entering the metaverse right now at this point in time.
That's a rabbit hole we should not go down.
Yeah, that one.
Let's save that for another podcast.
That one's definitely
I will go off for 2 hours.
The metaverse was announced last week for anybody watching this. You know, a few months after this is filmed. We won't go into detail. A week ago.
If you know about it, you know about it.
If you don't know about it, Google it.
Google it. It's strong.
Yeah.
It's going to change the world.
Facts.
It's happening quicker than you realize.
Yep.
Do you have any other questions for me?
I think
we got a lot of meat and potatoes.
I think we need to bring you back for another episode soon.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Yeah,
I think we should have a whole Go Getters.
Yeah, we should have
podcast.
We should get.
We need Andres and Shelby on for one, and then we need the whole group on for one.
Facts. I think we could fit it in here. What do you think? We might have to move that couch.
We could put 2 chairs on the other side and figure it out.
Yeah, we'll sit in laps.
We can sit in laps.
You guys can sit in each other's lap. I need my own chair.
Solid. I got you.
If you enjoyed the content and got any value out of this, please like and subscribe.
Don't be ghost watchers.
Yeah, share the energy. Comment some of your brands down below. We'd like to take a look at what your businesses are. Tag them. We'll follow you. Maybe if it doesn't get ridiculously amount of brands or businesses in general. Yeah. And if
support local businesses, hit the share button.
If you heard us say anything that might, you know, have a different opinion on, drop your opinion. We'll comment.
Definitely. And if any of you guys are interested, if there are some young professionals or young entrepreneurs out there that are wanting to build a group, absolutely reach out to us, because we are not at all afraid of sharing free game and letting you know exactly how we've built our circle. Because that, I mean, I know you talked about it earlier, but that has been essential for all of us.
It leveled up my entire business and personal life too. It definitely did. That was an issue that I had first starting out in real estate. I didn't have friends, mentors. I had to get podcast, YouTube. It was kind of lonely.
Yeah.
Who to reach out to. I was only like 18. Nobody would take me seriously. Having close friends in real life helps.
Big time. I built like an army of mentors.
Yeah, no, it starts to compound. Once you learn how to get one mentor, you'll get 2, then you'll get 4, then you'll get 8. You'll build a whole team. Same thing with having like-minded friends. 2 turns into 4, turns into 8, turns into 16 quick.
Yeah. I told you about my guy from the paper trading days. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's history. Big time. Yeah, all of our links, guys, our Instagram, my Instagram, Justin's Instagram. So
my Instagram.
Your personal.
Yeah.
We'll put the links in the description. Definitely. And if you enjoyed it, like I said, go check out our first episode. We're going to keep coming at you guys with these things. I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. You know, we start off a little nervous, then we get into it, but that's how it goes.
The meat potatoes starts. Yeah. It takes a while to cook.
I started with it.
Takes a while to cook the meat potatoes.
With my hands.
Shake and bake. We
shake and bake, Rick Body.
Each other. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I guess that's it.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that was good.